There's no denying we've seen some pretty wild weather in Nebraska the past year, but is it the result of global warming? We caught up with Dr. Ken Dewey, a climatologist at the University of Nebraska. Now, you gave a talk today. You started out with kind of a provocative statement, maybe, if I were to put it in my own words. You said you don't believe in climate change, emphasizing the word believe.
Well, science is not a belief system. When it's a social issue or a religious issue, belief is important, and you're entitled to your belief. But you know what? You're just not entitled to your own set of facts.
People will say, look, see, we just had a blizzard in April. Global warming, that's all a bunch of hooey. What do you tell those folks?
Well, I think that's the silliest thing I've ever seen anyone do. When you go to the top of the mountain, it's not straight up to the top, is it? As you're going up, all of a sudden you'll hit a plateau. You might even go down into a little valley and find a little village, and then you continue going back up. Weather, day to day, can be variable. You have pockets of cold in a warming world. Is that possible? Of course.
Yeah, it does seem, though, that we have had some extreme weather.
If we take out hurricanes, there's relatively not as many hurricanes. We were the most extreme weather globally on record, going back over 100 years. If we include hurricanes, it was the second most extreme year. I have a graph that I can show people, and it shows that since the 1970s, it has been getting more extreme. We're talking about the days with storms, the extremes, record highs, the record lows.
So in this case, could drought be a symptom of maybe some of what you're talking?
Yes, it's a symptom that we expect in the climate system. We expect it to be like a person tripping and almost falling. First they fall towards the right, which might be heavy rain, and they fall towards the left, which might be drought. So it's a climate system that's unstable right now, and we as humans get to be a part of this grand experiment.
What are the implications for a state like Nebraska?
Well, the implications are way huge for us. When I go and speak in urban areas, they merely say, well, I don't see how this affects me at all. I'll just go to the store and get what I need. Nebraska needs water. Agriculture is our industry. Guess what? So is tourism. And if we didn't have water for agriculture, if we started losing water for tourism, we've got a problem. That's a lot of money that normally comes into this state. If we start losing agricultural production, we start losing water for animals in our state, we're in trouble, and it affects the economy of the state. If we shut down agriculture and recreation in the state of Nebraska, what else do we have? That if this is the normal back and forth we have in Nebraska, and now it's like this, are we going to be resilient to handle stronger, longer droughts? Are we going to be resilient to handle wilder swings in temperature? And by the way, 2012 was the driest year on record, drier than the Dust Bowl. And if you want to get anyone's attention, they're usually going to say, if it was drier than the Dust Bowl, why didn't it look like the Dust Bowl? That's because the Dust Bowl was a decade long. This was only 1 year. That gives you an example of when the climate goes to extremes and hangs in there. What if we got 9 more years of last year that would be devastating for the state? I don't know how we would recover.
Which is why things like sustainability and those kinds of things have to enter the equation, right?
Exactly. If you have sustainability and you have an ability to adapt to these extremes, then you are more resilient. We have to be kind of resourceful and start looking at ways in Nebraska we could use less water, be more energy independent, and use the natural resources around us that are cheap, like wind and air.
Well, Dr. Dewey, thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be here, and it's an exciting time as we see us leaving winter and spring and going into a summer, wondering what will this year bring us. Speaking of weather, your growth forecast is coming up next.